So hi, here we are with a parent of 2 children that have hearing loss. If you would introduce yourself, that would be great.
Sure. I'm Cheryl Lacey. I live in Chilliwack. I have 2 boys ages 9 and 11. Both were born with hearing loss, but rapid progressive, so slightly different situation than most families kind of undergo, but they're now implanted with cochlear implants and quite successful at school.
Excellent, excellent. And what were the grades again? They were
they're now grades 4 and 6.
4 and 6. Excellent. So now, do you remember way back when your initial reaction when I gave Cheryl these questions ahead of time? That's why she's chuckling a bit about this question. Do you remember your initial reaction when you were told your children had a hearing loss?
I do, and so Emerson was part of the pilot program for the early hearing screening that now happens. So he was caught as part of the pilot. So I take that as a positive thing in that he was caught and helped early screening be something that continues now. My reaction, well, first he failed, and I'd been warned by another mom that he would have this hearing screening and he'd probably fail because of fluid. So my son failed and I was like, oh, it's just fluid. And so we did a follow-up and he failed, and okay, it's just fluid. And then we did a third follow-up with the audiologist and went, oh, maybe it's not fluid. Now, this is when things weren't really so streamlined, so it took a few months to kind of get to the ENT. So Emerson was 4 months old when we went to the ENT, and he said it's fluid, although the audiologist thought it was permanent conductive, kind of a mild, moderate loss. So 4 months later again, so when Emerson was 8 months old, we went to Children's Hospital to have an appointment with the ENT to get tubes to get rid of this fluid for my son who had hearing loss due to fluid. However, in the sound booth, Emerson found that he had a profound loss on his right and a severe hearing loss on his left at that point. So we don't know at what point it progressed to that. I cried. I got chastised for crying, because there's much worse things in this world than hearing loss. So that was a lot for me to process. I went home that night and I cried, mostly because I didn't know anybody with hearing loss. Nobody in my family had it, nobody I knew had it, so I just didn't know how to be mom to a child with hearing loss. Mm-hmm. But that was the start of the journey. So my initial reaction was it was a loss for me, but more of a, I don't know what to do with this. Yeah. So then my journey started.
Journey is a good word. When you think of the boys going through school, what would you have liked the support staff? Not so much like the teachers in the classroom, but if there's support staff, because that's actually who's kind of listening to some of this panel, it is the support staff, the EAs in the schools. Can you think of any kind of advice or things that you remember, maybe a fabulous EA has, anything stands out in your mind? I changed the question that I previously gave.
That's okay. No, it is a hard question, but what I have found over the years is I find it important to understand that hearing loss and deafness are not equal. They're not the same. So with deafness, you hear nothing. With a child with hearing loss, which comes at very different levels, they can still hear. And I find quite often I have different EAs tell me like, well, he wasn't wearing his cochlear implant, or he wasn't wearing his hearing aid, but he still understood me. So I think it's important to understand that although yes, they can still hear, they're not hearing with clarity. So I find for me that was really key. And when a parent tells you that their child cannot hear the fire alarm, we're not kidding. So my son at one point, between surgeries, he had a lot going on. He was in kindergarten, so he was profoundly deaf on one side with the moderate sloping profound hearing loss on the other side. It was like he can't hear a fire alarm, and nobody seemed to quite believe me until they had the fire drill, and he kept playing blocks while everybody else lined up to leave, and they went, oh, he can't hear that. But because his language seemed on par with his peers,
and visually he took
all sorts of cues. Yeah, but yeah, so those are just a couple little things that